What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Moving on to Warriors Suns. End of this game was super fascinating to me because Devin Booker, again, I've talked a lot about this during Phoenix's struggles early in the season, but we had this stretch to end the regular season last year where Devin Booker was insane. And then he goes into the playoffs and he's insane. And then he started the year this year and he was insane. And then he started having these soft tissue issues and his game kind of went down a level. And everyone was focused on Bradley Beal not being in the lineup. But a big part of it, too, was Devin Booker was just kind of working his way back from an injury and wasn't really the same Devin Booker that we had grown accustomed to. And he was just unbelievably magnificent down the stretch of this game. He had a pull-up transition three in Draymond Green's face, and then he had Kuminga on the kind of in the right kind of corner area. And he hit him with this like in and out through the legs dribble that was disgusting, and like it was in slow motion too. It wasn't like I talk about this when I train the high school kids that I work with. Like, it's not about whipping the basketball around and like as fast as possible or covering a ton of ground with the basketball. It's about selling the move with every part of your body. If you do an in and out dribble, that's pretty basic. And on the in and out dribble, your body is facing completely to the right and your hips are open to the right and the ball is positioned for you to attack to the right. And then you like scissor cross back to your left. If you hit that and sell that with your body, you don't have to do anything crazy with the basketball to beat somebody off the dribble. And he just toasted Jonathan Kuminga, got all the way to the rim and finished. They ended up trying to switch Wiggins onto him for a possession late in the game. He ended up using another screen to get off of Wiggins to get on Podziemski, and he hit a Podziemski with this crazy move to the left and then spun with perfect footwork into a left shoulder fade over the top to put him up 112 to 110. Devin Booker was just ridiculous at the end of this game. But Golden State finally got a stop late when it was 112-110. They had Steph hedge and recover. So Devin Booker tried to use Jonathan Kuminga was back on Booker, bringing a lot of ball pressure. They bring Grayson Allen into the screen to try to pick on Steph, right? So then Steph does what Golden State always does in this situation. He hedges out and then recovers. On the hedge, Grayson Allen is briefly open, and Brandon Podziemski and Draymond Green have an unbelievable weak side rotation that saves their chance to win the game. Podziemski rotates up to Allen, forcing him to give the ball up. Allen swings it to Bradley Beal on the right wing. Draymond Green closes out on Beal. Beal swings it to the corner to Eric Gordon. Draymond closes back out and stops Eric Gordon from shooting, and Podziemski rotates back to Bradley Beal and chases him off the line, and then there's no time left on the shot clock, and he ends up having to take like kind of a rushed step back jump shot going to his left, and he misses it. So they finally got the stop they needed, and then on the final play at 112-110, Kevin Durant's guarding Steph, and he's just wrapped up on him, right? Well, Steve Kerr, really smart play design, uses Andrew Wiggins to kind of set a brush screen on Draymond Green's man, which was Bradley Beal in this case, and it gets Bradley Beal into a trailing position. What that means is, so you'll see this a lot in pick and roll in the NBA, where like ball handlers working at top of the key, screeners down under the basket, and you'll screen the screener's man so that when he runs up into the pick and roll, instead of the screen defender being right there with him, he's lagging behind the play, which kind of creates like a bigger window for your ball handler to work with, right? So they did a similar version of that on the sideline out of bounds. They screened Bradley Beal, which got him into kind of a trailing position as Draymond Green was going to screen Kevin Durant. And so Bradley Beal was already in like a sprint recover situation, which caused him to opt to gamble. So when Steph flashes to the top of the key, Bradley Beal, who's already trailing the play, gambles into the passing lane, and then Steph, just a textbook pivot over his left shoulder, turns and fires and wins it for the Warriors. I have this drill, and those of you guys who've been listening to the show for a long time have heard me break down this drill before, but it's one of the footwork drills that I work with shooters at the high school that I coach at. And it's basically just a pivot drill. So like you spin the ball out to yourself at the top of the key and you do a combination of like reverse pivots going both ways, over the top pivots going both ways, and then jump spins. It's a drill I personally stole from Kelly Olynyk, who used to do it with the Miami Heat. And I think it's a really good way to work on balance when it comes to shooting on the move, because whether or not you're coming over the top of the screen or you're reverse pivoting in some sort of ISO, that specific pivot footwork is a super important part of shooting. And so those over the top pivots in particular, they're the most important pivots for a movement shooter. If I'm coming off of a screen going to my right hand side, I need to be able to plant my left foot and swing that right foot around and plant it too, and then square up in midair to knock the shot down. But then if I'm going the other way, I need to plant my right foot first and swing my left foot around. And I'm already squared up because I'm a righty and I can rise up and shoot, right? And like that is a basic movement shooting footwork. And just doing basic reverse pivot or over the top pivots into shots is a great way to train your body to be used to shooting while pivoting like that. And it's crazy because I guarantee you Steph has his own version of that drill that he probably does God knows how many thousands of times every summer. And it's wild because like Steph just turned and fired. He knew he was open. As soon as Bradley Beal gambled, he knew, I got 2 seconds here. I don't need to take a dribble. I'm close enough to the basket. This is footwork that I'm used to doing. Just turn and fire over his left shoulder like that. Just drills it off the back of the rim. It was literally, it was beautiful. And like, honestly, like a nice kind of finish for the Warriors, who have been on the wrong side of so many of these close games as of late, but they were on the right side of this one, and just another crazy Steph Curry moment. A couple notes on the Warriors front. And again, like I was talking about earlier with the Celtics, like I really want to dive into the weeds tactically with these teams now that we're post deadline and try to figure out as much as we can as we head down the stretch. Having Gary Payton II out there just adds another layer to the athletic waves of this team. I've talked about this ever since Wiggins and Kuminga have started playing together so much. Like Golden State just brings wave after wave of athleticism. And there was a stretch there in the early fourth quarter where Gary Payton was doing a nice job guarding Bradley Beal and like got a deflection on an inbounds pass, and he's just flying around. And then it's like he comes out of the game and in comes Wiggins and Kuminga, and it's more of the same. And so like, I just think having him out there to kind of fortify things at the point of attack and add to that kind of physical, athletic imposition on the game is huge for them. It's good to see him back out there. The Green, Wiggins, Kuminga front line was +5 in 24 minutes against the Suns. They are now +95 on the season. Like I said in our last Warriors pod, they were one game away from it being their best lineup of the season. Well, now it is. So previously their best lineup of the season, I want to say, was Podziemski, Saric, Paul, if I remember correctly, and they were +91 on the season. Well, now Green, Wiggins, Kuminga is +95 on the season. It is officially the best three-man grouping that the Warriors have in any capacity this season. The Warriors have won 6 of their last 7 games. They have real and sustainable momentum. They're defending at a high level, a 107 defensive rating against Phoenix. And remember, that Phoenix offense has been insane. So slowed down the Phoenix offense, a 107 defensive rating in total over the 7-game stretch, which is the second best mark in the league. They're rebounding. They're 6th in defensive rebound percentage over the span, and they're scoring well, 11th in offense. And so a lot of those boxes, like real defensive versatility, the ability to score, the ability to guard in different ways because of all the athletic versatility on that front line. They're led by a legit superstar playing MVP basketball during this stretch. That's always a big, kind of hallmark, the defensive rating, the rebound percentage, and they're getting reliable secondary scoring out of Jonathan Kuminga. Once again, another 21 points against the Suns. He's gone for 20 plus in 10 of the last 13 games. So now again, it's only been 7 games. So I don't want to jump to too many conclusions. Obviously, we'd like to see a larger sample size. And they have 4 tough games coming up. They have 2 on the road in Utah. And then they play the Lakers, Clippers, and Nuggets all in the next 6 games. So in this 6-game stretch, if they go 4-2 or 5-1, I think that would be a good hallmark for what this group is capable of. And again, like that's just, we always want to see, I was talking about this with the Lakers earlier in the year too. Like you want to see like a 15 to 20 game stretch where a team looks dominant. That to me is like basically a prerequisite to contend for an NBA championship. This is the beginning of that phase. They need to keep it going for a couple more weeks. We'll be keeping a close eye on them over that stretch.